Mr. Chair, that was quite a wide-ranging and extraordinary contribution. If you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair, but we are currently debating Part 1 of the amendments to the New Zealand Flag Referendums Act, and it's a very, very simple part of the legislation. All it says is that the legislation will be changed such that there are 5 options on which the public can vote, not 4. And this is not actually complicated. In fact, I believe that the members have the capacity to grasp what is happening well within their grasp. And yet, Mr. Chair, we hear all sorts of accusations that everybody but me, Claire Curran just said, is playing politics on this issue. Well, there are people playing politics on this very simple bill and ensuring it takes far more of the committee's time than it needs to. And one example is the puerile and infantile supplementary order papers on the table from Dennis O'Rourke. And it just goes to show what happens when the babysitter is away. When the babysitter's away, all sorts of impractical and impolitic indulgences are indulged in by the New Zealand First Party. And I believe I speak for many members when I say...
Order. The amendments that you mentioned are not Part 1, they're actually in the clauses. So, David Seymour.
Mr. Chair, I apologise. I was not referring to the amendments in any substance, merely to the position that various parties are taking on this part, which is indeed very simple. In fact, Mr. Chair, going from 4 to 5 is so simple that it is difficult to fill 5 minutes talking about anything else. Thankfully, the opposition have given us all sorts of immaturity, all sorts of political game playing, and all sorts of excuses to make this process far more complex than it needs to be. And if the opposition were serious about being respectful of New Zealanders and acting in such a way that this legislative change happens quickly, efficiently and smoothly, so the House or the committee can get on to all of those things that they say are far more important, we would not still be debating this. It could have been done and dusted and we could have got on to more important matters last night. But the truth is, Mr. Chair, that the opposition have chosen to deeply politicise the very simple exercise of going from 4 to 5. And I wouldn't have thought that this was a complex matter to detain the House for a long time, but it does appear to have detained the opposition for a long time, and they in turn have detained the House and left us with a much, much more drawn-out process than there need to have been. So, Mr. Chair, when the opposition tell us that it is the government or this side of the House that are abusing or offending or taking for granted or belittling New Zealanders, all they need to do, if they want to move the committee and the House on to more serious business, is to say, we're okay with going from 4 to 5, we're comfortable with that, we're numerate enough to do it, sit down and allow the committee and the House to move on to more important business. But I predict, Mr. Chair, that we are going to see the kind of puerile grandstanding from New Zealand First that we get whenever their babysitter is away managing media matters for the parliamentary rugby team in London, or on any other occasion where those members are unsupervised and left to their own devices in a house they could never have entered without the babysitter's assistance. And they will carry on for as long as possible, simultaneously claiming it is the government that is taking advantage of the public and the House, while nevertheless it is they who have a real difficulty with the simple concept of going from 4 to 5. That's all we're trying to achieve here. So let's just say it one more time, 4 to 5.
call. Tracy Martin.
Mr Chair,